Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, hackers and traders, and welcome to this, our second episode about building a crypto high-frequency trading system. Today, we're going to talk some basics. What are markets? What are trading exchanges? And how on earth did I end up on a couch drinking cider with a farmer? Hacking and trading. Stay tuned. So the first concept we have to understand is, what is an exchange? You might have heard of NASDAQ, the London Stock Exchange, or the Chicago Board of Trade, or even Binance. But what exactly are they? Exchanges are quite simply a communal meeting place where people come together to exchange goods for money. Those goods could be company stocks, pork bellies, gold, and most recently, even cryptocurrencies. I think the best way to go about this is by way of example. Imagine there is this farmer who wants to get rid of a crate of recently picked apples. He doesn't live in a place like the former Soviet Union where there was a centrally planned economy where people were told what prices they should sell their things at. So how does he know what the best price is that he can get for his apples? How is he going to work this out on his own? Well, the safest strategy would be for him to ask some ridiculously high price, say $1,000 for his box of apples. We call this the ask price because that's what he's asking for in exchange for his crate of apples. He's not willing to go any lower than that. Similarly, imagine an apple juice company needing to buy some apples to turn into juice. They'd like to buy their apples for as cheap as possible, as low as possible. So imagine they broadcast to the world, "Hey everyone, we'd be willing to pay $100 for a crate of apples." That is their bid price. They're bidding $100 for a crate of apples, and they're not willing to go any higher. So obviously, they're a universe away where the juice is only willing to pay $100 here, the farmer's only willing to sell for $1,000 here. There's no way they're going to trade with each other unless they meet somewhere closer to the middle here. But most importantly, they know of each other's existence, and they know in the worst case scenario what they might be able to buy apples for, or even sell their apples for. And more importantly, other people in the world also know what they're willing to be doing. This is what matters most. But until these prices get closer together, either this $100 goes up or this $1,000 down, no one's going to be doing anything. Farmers aren't going to be selling their apples. Juicers are not going to be making their juice. That's just sucky for everyone. I want to buy some juice. But then, humans being humans, something incredible happens. A different farmer, seeing that $1,000 price in the market, thinks, wow, that's a really good price. I would be willing to sell my apples $600 and still make a killing. So he broadcasts to the world, I am willing to sell my apples for $600. He's asking for $600 for a crate of apples. He's hoping that the juice company is going to be enticed by his much cheaper offer for apples. But instead, a completely different company turns up, a smoothie producer, and he says, I'd be willing to pay $400 for a crate of apples. I bid $400 for a crate of apples. So here we have all these actors, all acting in their own interests, trying to find a common price of apples. At the moment, nothing's going to happen because the most that someone will pay is $400, and the least that someone is willing to get rid of their apples for is $600. We're still looking to find that common ground here in the middle. Up to this point, we have a whole lot of people making markets in apples for dollars, but nothing's happening because not yet do we have anyone willing to take from this market. Eventually, someone turns up in the market with this amazing order for 50 apple pies, and all they need to make a profit on their pies is a crate of apples. And they'd be willing to pay up to $700 for that crate of apples. So suddenly we would have a bid price here of $700. But because there are already other people sitting in this market, he can look up there and go, man, Farmer 2 is already willing to sell me that crate of apples for $600. Boom, what a deal. I'm going to take him on his ask price for $600. So he says to that farmer, I'll take your crate of apples. Here's $600. He didn't end up paying his $700. He got a deal for $600, but farmer 2 is quite happy because he also got his deal for $600. So farmer 2 heads home and the pie guy disappears off and makes some pies. So in this instance, the farmer was the maker. He was making a market, selling apples in exchange for dollars, and the pie guy was the taker. He turned up and took the price that he saw in the market. This distinction between maker and taker is important, as you will see in later videos in this series. So now, where does this leave everyone else in the market? Well, everyone else has just seen that the going price for a crate of apples is around $600. So they may not like it, but if they don't want to be sitting around all day doing nothing, they better be willing to move their price towards something that's slightly more reasonable. So the original farmer, perhaps thinking that $600 is just too low because maybe his apples are better than everyone else's, or he just can't make ends meet selling for $600, decides to lower his price from $1,000 to $700. Similarly, the smoothie company, a little pissed now that they just saw apples go for $600 a crate and all that's left in the market are apples for $700, they decide, well, we do want to get on with making our smoothies, so maybe we need to increase our bid price from $400 to $600. They still haven't matched that $700, but you can see these two prices are getting closer and closer. And in an efficiently functioning market, people wanting to buy things will slowly be pushing their prices up, and people willing to sell things will be slowly pushing their prices down. The key is they're eventually going to be meeting in the middle here, or at least the prices are going to get closer and closer and more accurately reflect the real price is of that particular commodity, in this case apples, what the real price is of that marketplace. And so the game continues. Markets magically spring into existence. It's probably one of the greatest inventions humans have ever stumbled on, after maybe human language and TikTok. We seem to have collectively found a way to value almost anything in real time in a distributed way that's almost completely devoid of coercion or manipulation. And this objective value seems to be transmitted almost everywhere all at once. No matter where you are in the world, you no longer have to worry about, are you paying too much for something, or are you selling something for too cheaply? As long as you're selling in an efficient market, you will be getting a price, probably the best price in the world. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it just emerges from self-serving human behavior. There is no one running it, no one telling people what to do. You just opt in to buying or selling at a price you're happy to exchange at. Now, before I get too emotional about how cool markets are, can we think of just one additional thing that might make them even cooler? Think about the problems faced by the farmers and the apple consumers just sitting there all day making markets. What if there are no takers? How can we improve that? Pause this video till you have a few ideas. Okay, so you've thought of something, right? Right. What is most irritating is that farmers are good at farming, juicers are good at juicing. The last thing they want to be doing is sitting around waiting for some taker to come along so that they can trade with them. So enter the market makers, a rare breed of superheroes who look around, know nothing about apples, yet are willing to say to that farmer, "Hey farmer, I am willing to buy those apples from you for $650 a crate. I'm willing to bid $650 and temporarily market make that bid." The farmer takes one look at this deal and accepts it with a grin. He wants to go home. Besides, it's almost beer o'clock and the beers aren't getting any cooler. So now we have a market maker with a crate of apples that she doesn't really want or need, has just bought it for $650 here. What's the best thing she can do with that? Well, why not turn around and immediately offer to sell them for $660. That way, if someone's willing to buy those from her, she immediately makes a cool $10 profit, having bought them at $6.50 and selling them immediately at $660. The smoothie company, really wanting to get on with smoothing, has a look at this market now and goes, you know what, I was willing to pay $600. There's someone willing to sell me something for $660. Takes that offer up, buys the apples, and boom, they too can go home. And what do you know? The market makers made then their $10. The smoothie company has got their apples, and the original farmer went home just before lunch. Everybody is happy. The market is even more efficient than before. Well, except perhaps the poor juicer who still sits there with their unrealistic requirement of $100 apples. But that's their problem. So the market maker earned $10 for very little work. For what, you may ask? Surely they're just a dirty middleman making quick buck off other people's hard work? Well, yes and no. I mean, while market making is not as hard or as difficult as farming apples or making juice, it is challenging in its own ways. Firstly, the market maker has to be sitting around all day trying to sell a box of apples while the farmer is sitting at home drinking his beer. But secondly, and more importantly, the market maker has to have invested some of their own cash to have bought a crate of apples that at that point no one wanted to pay for. What if another farmer came along and started selling apples at $500 or $400 and the market maker had spent $650 on those apples? The market maker can really lose a lot of money if she's bought the apples at too high a price and then the market moves underneath her and suddenly those apples are worth far less than what she originally thought. And this is where her expertise comes in, and this is why she gets rewarded. And let me tell you, it's a lot more difficult than sitting around buying and selling apples. We're going to build hundreds of signals and learn from those signals using machine learning to work out just when it is a good time, a safe time to be buying and selling apples, or in our case, to be buying and selling cryptocurrencies. So we've spent most of this vlog talking about markets. What are exchanges? Well, they're simply the technological meeting place where makers and takers can come together, offer their bids and asks, and where they match, do trades together. NASDAQ and the LSE are exchanges for trading company stocks. The Chicago Board of Trade is an exchange for trading things like pork bellies and perhaps even apples. And Binance, for example, is an exchange for trading cryptocurrencies. But the real hero of the story today, dear hackers and traders, is the market maker. Are you interested in becoming a market maker? Or even better, are you excited about building your own automated market maker? If so, stay tuned, hit the like button, subscribe, tell all your friends about it, but that's what's going to keep me making these videos. And who knows, maybe you too will have your own market making system so that you can be sitting on the couch drinking beer, maybe apple cider, while your machine works 24/7 for you. This is Dr. J, signing out. Till next time.